to the Crypto Kindness channel. My name is Jeff. This morning, I am excited to be diving in on a not so new protocol. I think it's been out for about maybe 2.5 months. pTGC, the Gray's currency. And boy, they've got a lot of really exciting stuff happening. It is a decentralized autonomous organization. It's a DAO built on the PulseChain. The PulseChain is built on PulseChain. And lots of interesting things happening. And I hear some rumblings amongst some of the more well-known people in the PulseChain community that maybe this is the first $1 billion protocol on PulseChain. And so we will dive into if that's a possibility, how that could be a possibility this morning. But before we go ahead and get started, I do have a 10-second favor to ask of you. My YouTube analytics show that only about 23% of people that watch these live streams actually subscribe to the channel. My goal for the next 18 months is to help you get as good as possible at crypto through tutorials and interviews and knowledge-based education, so that we don't make a lot of the mistakes that I made and many others made during the bull and the last bear market. In order to do that, when I invite people onto my channel, they want to see how big of an audience they're going to reach. So if you would please take a second, just click that subscribe button. It helps me bring bigger names onto the channel to ask the questions that are going to help both you and I grow for the future. So with that being said, 1 second, one ask, just hit the subscribe button, and I will do my best to honor my request of you and bring people like the people we have on this morning to my channel so we can all learn together. And with that being said, we're going to be interviewing this morning the founder of pTGC and the lead team member as well. So welcome to the channel, Hayden and Coach X. Thank you for being here, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. You got to smile.
I was waiting for you to go here. Bright and early.
Man. So these gentlemen are in a different time zone, and it's early for them. So let's cut them a little bit of slack. Let's let that coffee kick in. So Hayden, I guess I'll start with you. So you're the founder of pTGC, and I'm going to screw that up, I promise you, at some point during this stream today. But is this your first project, or are there other projects?
I have worked on 3 projects total, and it's me and 2 other founders that created the project. I'm by far the most active one as far as in the community and also on Twitter and Telegram. I also probably know the project the best, like the back of my hand. I live and breathe it.
Okay.
We did release pTGC on Ethereum, I'd say roughly a year ago, and the Ethereum cost to do transactions was quite high. And with a DAO where there's voting involved and making proposals, it becomes pretty costly to do that type of stuff. So that was one of the reasons why I was so excited to bring pTGC onto PulseChain and bring an actual DAO to take advantage of these cheaper gas fees that I know everyone is loving so much.
Okay.
I also did a Zen proof of burn project, and whoever burned their Zen, and we made sure that we had the right the proof of burn to where everyone got their XN allocation burn receipt by Jack Levin. So when you burned for TG Zen, you got an airdrop of pTGC, and currently I believe your pTGC airdrop, if you burned, is worth a 5x of what your Zen is worth. So we're one of the, I think we're the highest reward on investment for burn projects for Zen at the moment. The difference is we only gave a 48-hour window for when you could burn your Zen, to where most of the burn projects out there let you keep burning throughout time. And I capped it at 48 hours because I didn't want to be stuck with the inflation of Zen, which Zen has its own reason, but I wanted to cap that inflation and make a burn project that actually is highly deflationary. So
Nice.
right now, if you burned your Zen for pTGC, you'd be up pretty much 5x on the Zen you burned, and you would have also gotten your XN burn receipt by Jack Levin. So that's a pretty cool accomplishment for me, was to build something like that. And
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's how I became familiar with the name pTGC, and now you can see I got my Zen crypto hat on. So we're kind of from the same camps. I think your project launched around the time I kind of slowed down on streaming on Zen, so we never really connected through there. But I know many people that actually burn for your protocol that are extremely happy with pTGC on PulseChain. So that's super cool. So thank you for sharing that little background. Coach, what is you're a team member here. How did you get involved with pTGC?
So just like a collective interest in all three of us on this channel, like we came from Genesis, like Zen crypto, being in the community, understanding the different burn functions, and coming from spaces, learning what Jack was christening and crossing and throwing, see what sticks and what doesn't, and kind of like I don't know, doing different. I have this idea, I have this DAO, and the way you talk about LPs and the way you talk about burnt LPs, that you can't abstract value away from it, is essentially one of the smartest things any kind of DAO can actually operate in. It's like DAO functions or reflection tokens. The only thing that anybody should be worried about is volume. And it doesn't matter where that volume comes from. If that volume comes from just the Pulse buy on V1, or the bots happening on the Atropa pTGC pair. So it doesn't really matter where the volume is. And we understood how the AMA bots operated and functioned here on PulseChain, which you can be literally the most liquid protocol in existence just from rewarding people by bot transactions, if there was like no human interaction with it.
Okay. That's fascinating. That's part of what I'm here to learn more about today, is the whole bot network that I would say you've built, but you actually don't really have any bots. You're just leveraging the bots that already exist. So with that question, or I guess that kind of background information, I want to share one thing. This is the most common reply that I see from, let me make sure I do this right. There we go. Yeah. So when anybody tweets about pTGC, this is the most common reply that I see. And it's the picture of the alien technology, and it says, "Remember the mission." So I'm going to start with this question. What is the mission? Hey, now, how about you start answer with that answer?
Yeah, so right now our mission is to buy and burn as much as the supply as possible. And when we're doing a buy and burn, we're actually putting that PLS into our liquidity pool and then removing the tokens that we got in that by giving the PLS to that liquidity pool and then removing the tokens. We're forever locking that PLS into that liquidity pool, and it can only get removed by the current pTGC holders. So as we continue to eliminate supply from the pTGC ecosystem, but increase liquidity, we raise the floor with pretty much every single transaction. And as of right now, that is the mission, is how much PLS can we get locked into that PLS or into that PLS pTGC pool that is only accessible by the pTGC people. And as time goes on and that pool gets bigger, as PLS becomes more valuable, as price goes up of PLS, our liquidity pool will be constantly growing in price as well. And then that value can never be extracted because all those LP pools are burnt and locked.
So when you say the only people that can access that pulse that's put into the liquidity pool is the pTGC holders, tell me more about that. Does that mean like, hey, I own pTGC, I can go and just take that pulse? Like when you say access it, what does that mean?
Yeah, so how pretty much any liquidity pool works is there's two sides to it. There's the pulse, or I'm going to use this liquidity pool as an example. But so with the pTGC pulse liquidity pool, there's two sides of it. If you want to buy pTGC, you have to come in with your pulse and you put your pulse into PulseX, and in exchange, you get your pTGC. Well, if you are ever growing that liquidity pool and burning it, so let's say you come in with Pulse and you get pTGC, and then you decide to burn that pTGC. That's what we're doing with every single transaction. You're now eliminating the supply of pTGC, but that value of Pulse that you put into that liquidity pool is now locked in there. And the only way to extract that Pulse is by turning in more pTGC. And as of right now, the only people that have pTGC are the pTGC holders. So as we increase the PLS in that liquidity pool with every single transaction that we do with buy and burns that get done by the smart contract, that get done by 7 other smart contracts that are operating behind us as well, that value of PLS gets bigger. I think we have over 1 billion PLS in there right now. But with every transaction, it actually increases and increases and increases.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal is to make it huge numbers. So when the bull market comes, the people who have access to all those PLS are the long-term pTGC holders and stakers. And there's actually a big enough liquidity there so people can take large profits and actually change their lives. Because we all know you can get a 100x run, and that's cool and all, but if there is no liquidity there for you to change your family's life, it's just internet money at that point. And by burning and locking LP is actually bringing real value to our protocol.
So that, I mean, what you just said there is so valuable just in a lesson, regardless of the crypto or project a person might be in. But so many times we see the market cap of a particular project that, you know, I was looking at one last night, it was like 4 million, but the liquidity was 80 grand. It's like, okay, you can't exit that position. Not everybody. I mean, not even 10% of the people can exit their position still in profit because the liquidity pool isn't thick enough to support it. And so from the sounds of it, you all are using I guess in Coach, I'll ask you this question next, but maybe a recipe that you learned from the Atropa ecosystem to burn liquidity to thicken up the pool, so that way there is capital there for people to extract, but it can't be like rug pulled. So real quick before I go into that question, which wasn't really a question, it was kind of like a half statement, half question situation. I got to clarify on that. But let's say hi to chat real quick. We've got Brett Stone here today. Thank you, Brett, for being here. I'm subscribing since you're covering pTGC. Well, this won't be the first time. We'll be talking to these guys certainly throughout the bull market, so the next 18 to 24 months. So thank you for being here this morning. Shaka vibes, always with the surf fingers. We got to go surfing, Shaka. Gamma is here. Let's go. LFG, that's right. Let's get this video kind of trending, guys. Let's make sure we're hitting the likes. If you're on Twitter, please retweet out that this is live. One of the things I love to do on my channel is I like to hear where you're from. So some of these names are new to me. Shaq O'Neill, thank you for being here. Let me know where you're from. I'd love to hear it. And this is what's up? Go Green. Heck yeah. Repping MSU state swag right there. Spartan Village, 97 to 2001. We were there at the same time. Arnett. Yeah, I was on the back of my buddy's truck going down Grand River when the MSU won the national championship for basketball. Go Mateen Cleaves. That really was a statement for one person. So we got Algeria in the house. We got live in Oakland. This is great. Thank you for coming live in the chat. Let's talk today. Let's ask these guys questions. Let's get this. Let's get up to 50 people today. I'd love to see the pTGC crowd come out and start asking some questions. So, Coach, to you, my friend, you and I had connected during the kind of Atropa run, if you will, with PDI and Teddy Bear and all this type of stuff. And you were fascinated by what was happening with the liquidity pools and how they were locking and burning. And you shared with me, like, I think I figured out this recipe. And thankfully you connected with Hayden because he was able to do something with it. I was just like, yeah, cool, man. I don't know anything about coding. So what was it that you discovered? Like, what do you think is the magic behind pTGC that you kind of learned the recipe from Atropa, but you made your little changes? I'm familiar with some of the changes. But what was that? What's the magic here?
So basically, it's just it comes down to burnt liquidity. Okay, that's what it comes down to and what it's connected to.
Okay, so I'm gonna technical timeout. What is burnt liquidity? What does that mean?
Burnt liquidity is you can never take that liquidity out of that pool or abstract it. So it's the same kind of concept in two terms of like you paying. So you go to the restaurant and you're paying for your meal and you're using your Visa card for the payment. So the payment is so that is the LP between the restaurant and your bank account. So that's liquidity. Okay. So and that's your Visa card. But like with a Visa card, they can decline or not give you access or say, no, you can't make this payment. But when there is a liquidity pool, so a thing of value between two things, is like that's what blockchain is when once you provide liquidity, that brings value to those pairs. It doesn't matter what anybody says, it's valuable once it combines. So with burnt liquidity, there's no potential of this liquidity pair to ever be abstracted, taken away. So it'll be there forever on PulseChain. So
okay,
like
so I'm sorry, please finish.
So like with the the concept of that, so let's just say no one bought everybody sold their pTGC besides myself and Hayden, and it goes down to a floor level, and nobody ever else bought it. The valuation between the Pulse and pTGC is burnt forever, and it's connected to Pulse forever if it's a ghost chain or not a ghost chain. So if Pulse does that 10,000x or 100x or something like that,
I'll just take a 10x at this point.
Well, 10x. But like pTGC is going to do the same kind of numbers just by the flow of the bots. It might go really, really, really slow, but it's going to go up gradually over time.
Okay.
And like what we said, the only people that actually can take out access or take out Pulse from the pool are the individuals holding pTGC. So that's gotcha. what is valuable when it comes to liquidity, burnt liquidity.
Okay, so I want to just kind of clarify in a delineation. There's buy and burn, which we hear a lot about, and then we're hearing about today about burnt liquidity. Help me understand if I got this correct. So with the buy and burn, PulseX is good at it, and there's a lot of tokens protocols coming out now that are big on this buy and burn. Those are removing supply. They're buying on the market and they're removing supply forever. So that's like going to a null address. It's gone. It's never even accessible. But with burnt liquidity, do I understand this correct? Like the coins themselves, they're not destroyed. They're not sent to a null address, but essentially the keys to be able to remove them from the liquidity pool are gone. So the coins, we'll call them, so the Pulse and the pTGC are still there. They're in the pool. They just can't be extracted out. But they haven't been sent to a null address and completely destroyed.
Yeah. So the LP, that key that you have access to. So if you do provide liquidity, everybody knows on PulseX, it's the easiest thing. You put the two pairs and then you just press enable and then you press submit. And then you have your LPs that are shown on the PulseX thing. So what pTGC or the pool between Atropa and PDI, if anybody knows how to do it, you just go to your MetaMask, you add that LP contract to the and then you just press on it, and then you press send, and then you send it to the 369 address. And then with that, no one has access to the 369 address. Nobody. Right. So it's the coins are still in that LP, but like the key access, no one's going to have that key access to that liquidity pool. Besides, if you want to, the holders of pTGC, basically.
Yes, but they don't have the key. Like they can't go to that 369 address and pull back the key and then go empty the drain pool or the liquidity pool. They have access because they are holding pTGC, so then they can swap it in for Pulse if they wanted to, or vice versa. So, okay, that makes sense to me. So it's different, but similar, I guess, in terms of the burn aspect of it. So Hayden, then my next question is this. Y'all have been burning some impressive amounts of PulseChain and I'm going to screw it up. pTGC. I know, too many letters. Where are those funds coming from? Where are you guys getting this additional billion Pulse? Or you just burned a bunch this morning, didn't you? I thought I saw a tweet go out.
Yeah, so we have a couple functions that are playing at all times of every day that are adding to the burnt LP and also to the buy and burnt tokens. The main one is our DAO. So I believe that we were the first DAO on PulseChain. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, we're the first DAO on PulseChain. And what that DAO is actually spending a lot of its money on as of right now is just doing buy and burns of pTGC and buy and burns of LP. And there's a little bit of a difference between just a burn of pTGC and a buy and burn of pTGC, and same with just a burn of LP and a buy and burn of LP, because what the difference is when you buy something off the market and then burn it, you're actually raising the floor of that product itself. Yes. And then eliminating it. So as we keep doing buy and burns, we keep raising the floor of pTGC to a point that it could never go back down below. So the DAO does that with every single, as of right now, that's what we're doing with every single proposal, just because we're at such cheap levels with PulseChain and with pTGC at the moment. We literally are in the first 6 months of both protocols. So right now we believe it's most important to be doing buy and burns and raising that floor for all future people coming in to have a safe protocol to enter into. But then on top of that, the DAO gives us the ability to be versatile. So as time goes on and PulseChain evolves, pTGC evolves, we actually have the ability to pivot with things that come up and use those funds for not only buy and burns, but we could take 25% of that and put it into something that we believe is important. For an example, if some protocol comes out that we want to have a new LP pair with, then we can actually have versatile where we put up a vote within our smart contract, and we can say, hey, we want 100 million PLS, and we're going to create a LP pool with this new contract. There's tons of volume over there. It's going to help our protocol and then all the stakers can vote on that. And if it's a 65% win ratio, then those funds get released to the person that created the proposal. So that's what we put in place for the current, to help currently and for the future. I'm trying to think if that answered your question.
Kind of, but where are the funds coming from? Are the people in the DAO? Are you raising the funds from the people, from the top holders of pTGC? Are these funds coming in from LP transactions? Is there, I know that some of the liquidity pairs that you have, there's like a 5% or a 4% buy sell tax. Is the sell tax funding this? Like, where is that coming from?
Yeah, so pretty much what we created when we built this is we created an LP web of burnt liquidity. And what happens is when a human does a transaction, that's an action, and then there's a reaction to that action. And what the reaction on PulseChain is the bots come in, and then they actually are automatic market makers to the PulseChain ecosystem. And Richard Hart actually specifically talks about this in some of his live streams about how providing LP is automatic market makers on these decentralized exchanges. Well, these bots come in and they start evening out the prices between all the LP pools. And what we did was we put up a toll fee for all these bots to interact in our LP pools, and that toll fee is 5%. And when the bots are doing this, we're charging them 5% of their transaction, and that 5% is what's going to the DAO and what's going to the buy and burns and what's going to the LP buy and burns and also going to the staking rewards. So the bigger our LPs grow actually equals more rewards because the bots are actually able to transfer more money in between the pairs to even out the tokens. So as we raise our LPs and holders, and also equals more buy and burns for our protocol. So once this machine started going, it actually becomes stronger and stronger and stronger with every single transaction. And it's now just compounding on itself.
Gotcha. Okay, so question. I got a lot of questions. You're gonna hear that a lot. The 5% buy and sell tax. So basically, anybody that gets into pTGC, there needs to be a 10% appreciation in price in order to break even, because you're getting dinged 5 on the front end and 5 on the back end if you want to leave. Which I understand there's reasons for staking and all this type of stuff that you might not want to leave. But is that prohibitive for future growth? Because I see a lot of people that don't understand slippage and how to actually buy pTGC. Like they try and it won't go through. They don't understand that they got to set their slippage. I mean, one of the things that I've learned in crypto is that even though there's a lot of people participating in it, not a lot of people fully understand some of these more advanced DeFi mechanisms like adjusting slippage and buying tax coins and stuff like that. So is that potentially a point of adoption retardation?
So right now I am working on something to make it a little bit easier for people when they come onto our website to purchase. It's just going to be a swap function that has the slippage already included in it. And
Nice.
It'll make it easier for people who don't understand those purchasing metrics to come in and purchase and not get frustrated, because that tends to happen quite a bit when people don't know why their transaction's going through and stuff like that. But I think it is important. It's like a double-edged sword. I think it's important for people to be put through that little bit of stress, because then they're forced to learn about what they're actually operating on. So like someone who's working with PulseX and doesn't even understand like the slippage side of it, or like that there's multiple.
I couldn't agree more. And it's going to be very valuable in the future to know the importance of slippage. And my follow-up question being, and maybe Coach, this would be a good one for you, is there is a risk associated with having your slippage set too high, and that is sandwich attacks. The very bots that you're targeting to push the price up for pTGC are also the bots that are going to be targeting your users with a high slippage. So, if I put in a 10% slippage or a 6% slippage because I want to get past the tax being the 5% buy and sell on pTGC, if I put in too big of a buy, I might get sandwich attacked by an MEV bot. So first question to you guys, because I would love to know if this actually exists, is there an MEV blocker available for PulseChain?
No. And then, I don't think it's actually been built yet, but like at the same time, like this is like how basically PulseChain is operating. And that's what was triggered at the beginning at Genesis when PulseChain was just first launched. Richard Hart created those arbitrage bots that went and did his thing about abstracting different LPs and then burning it, or doing the PulseX buying birds. But literally, these bots are going to be going swimming through the pool of PulseChain, because like PulseChain is just a hallway. It's a hallway. It's a door. And there's different doors that you can open and then go into to find a better like ratio. So it's just like, those are things that are gonna like happen and come to effect. But like at the same time, it's paying our holders, it's paying our stakers, it's paying the DAO, it's burning the supply, it is adding to our V1 pair. And I haven't even talked about our 4 horsemen and our amplifiers yet.
Oh gosh, come on, so
value.
much excitement. Yeah, there's a bunch of questions, and I'm seeing a few things in the chat here. I want to say hi to a few people. Kid Cause is here this morning. He asks what kind of bots. So are these MEV bots that you're targeting, I guess, with this setup?
No, it's just bots on the PulseChain. It's not, no one created, or it's the yeah, it's just exactly what I just said about the bots.
Okay. So just arbitrage bots.
Yeah, there are arbitrage bots that are constantly fixing LP pools to make them equivalent with. So like if Hex moves on one LP pool, well then our LP pool is still sitting at the old Hex price. So what that bot is doing is it's selling off the Hex from one LP pool and then moving it into this other LP pool to even out the ratios. So whenever a bot wants to even out a ratio with an LP pool that we're providing, it's having to pay our fees to our ecosystem. And that's where we're raising the floor.
I get it now. So you're basically leveraging the system that Richard Hart built to balance everything within the liquidity pools of PulseX to build the liquidity pools and value of pTGC.
100%.
There's the aha moment.
Okay,
we're done. It's nice talking to you guys. Cheers. See you later. I'm going to buy some pTGC.
But I'll give you another example. So we have 4 different other smart contracts that basically all the liquidity was burnt. I think, what was it, $500,000 worth of LPs could never be abstracted away from these liquidity pairs tied with pTGC. And it also has its own little web that it's doing and bringing volume to just help out the whole protocol itself. So I'm going to give you an example. So we have a contract called the 808. Basically what the 808 token does, it also has a 5% tax fee, but 1% of it on every single buy and sell is burning pTGC. Another, or 1% of it is actually buying pTGC and then adding it to the 808 liquidity pool. So that's getting bigger and bigger over time. And then also it's providing pools for the OA and the 808 wallet to buy and burn more or buy and burn tokens, or utilize and build these LPs bigger and bigger. But for the example that I was going to give, 808 went up about 80% in about a 3-day period of time. It also brought up pTGC with it, where it went up about 40, and now it's up 100% in like the last 5 days.
Nice.
And then also our burn token also went up about 20%. And then also the liquid token that we have that's connected to pTGC went up about 15%. But there wasn't really any kind of human interaction. The interactions were coming from fixing kind of like the whole ecosystem. And it's like the same kind of thing predicate about the Tropa with Teddy Bear and TSFI and Down and Monte Money and
sure,
PUSDC. So it's just like it's all connected, and that when there is a reaction, there's that action happening somewhere else. So it's just like the terminology, all ships rise up together. It's a very smart metric and an idea, and people just don't understand that there's going to be value forever Like no one can take away value from those liquidity pools.
So you bring up a great question or point there, which leads to another question for me. Like I feel like an old sailor at this point because I've got so many battle wounds from crypto. I'll give the example of Cult DAO. Maybe you guys have heard of Cult, but Cult came out several months ago, and it was going to be the next big thing. And their whole marketing was a large liquidity pool with burned tokens, and that didn't work out so well. I mean, it still could, who knows? But to date, it hasn't because there are no people participating. But what you just said is it doesn't take people to participate with pTGC. So first question, maybe I'll ask Hayden, are you familiar with Cult DAO?
Yeah. So one thing I did when I built pTGC is I studied a lot of founders and a lot of projects. Zen being one of them, Hex being another one of them, and Cult being another one of them. And I studied it pretty deeply because we're a DAO, and they are probably, I would say, as far as a DAO goes, the best metric to run scenarios off of. So I took a lot of things from DAO itself and tweaked them to what I believed was a better operating DAO.
Okay.
So I know it quite well.
So what if you could give just a snapshot of 2 or 3 major differences between pTGC and Cult? Because we've seen Cult just kind of bleed out, whereas pTGC it had a hype run up. I think there was a lot of hype around it, and that hype bled out, but it's found a floor and is slowly creeping back up. Where I haven't seen the Cult chart lately. Last time I looked at it, it just kept going down as people left. So what is the difference, the fundamental difference between these two that pTGC might not fall into that same unfortunate circumstance?
So the biggest thing that I implemented into pTGC that's different than Cult's model for their DAO is they invest in other projects. And if that other project's successful, they bring the profits back into Cult and reimburse it to the holders.
Okay.
I didn't think, I believed I could build a protocol that's strong enough to where it's a better decision for the DAO to invest in itself. So instead of investing in other projects, we're constantly reinvesting in ourselves and reinvesting in our stakers and holders. So instead of taking that value and bringing it to other projects and pumping them, we're constantly just pumping ourselves and raising our floor with every transaction. That's mainly the biggest thing that I switched as far as the DAO business model. The second thing we put in play was obviously those LP pools that we created that will constantly add volume to our protocol, even when there isn't a human doing a buy and sell. When humans do buy and sell, that action actually causes these bots to work on overdrive, because when pTGC goes up, those bots have to fix all of our pTGC pools, which makes them work even harder. That same reaction works when pTGC goes down. But another thing that people need to take into consideration, when Hex goes up, when PLS goes up, when Atropa goes up, the bots actually have to come into our protocol too and fix our LP pairs as well. So we don't need a trade on pTGC for bots to actually come into pTGC, because we networked with other really, really good protocols on PulseChain. So when you are in pTGC, you're actually also technically invested in these other projects, because when they go up, the bots are forced to move us up as well. So it's diversifying yourself. And I think that's the best way to run a DAO. And that was my own opinion. But yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
That does. And we hear that a lot from successful business owners, and that is invest in your own business, don't gamble on others. And so you guys are investing in your own business model and your own holders. I think it's great. And you're leveraging the bot system that Richard Hart built, and the theory of Hart's law, which is all anything tied together in a liquidity pool. If one side goes up, the other goes up. So it's starting to make a lot more sense to me what's happening. So as you collect fees from the trades that are happening within the bots that are just simply working to balance out the liquidity pools, you then bring those fees to your DAO. The holders vote on what we're going to do with that money. And it's good to know, as of right now, your largest holders seem to have a good business sense. They're not just buying Lambos and putting stickers on planes. And they're reinvesting that money back into the liquidity pairs, which then offsets the liquidity pair, which then makes the bots come in and buy it up and rebalance the liquidity pair, which then feeds more money back into the, am I getting this right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a machine that's running and can't be stopped.
Ah, that's awesome. That is really cool.
And now can I talk about what a community like could actually bring back to the whole, like, a strategy? I think it's
I'd love to hear it. You said something earlier about your 4 horsemen, and I want to verify. You named those off, right? The 808, the burn, the what were the other 2?
Liquidity, or liquid, and then also energy. And then
Gotcha.
also we have community member projects that actually launch their own tokens there's one called Alien, which actually buys and burns the 4 other contracts. And then there was another project that came out on Sunday called DMS, and the dev of DRS was the one who created it. And in the function, they actually had burning of pTGC. So that was kind of cool. And like, there's a community starting to come around us and want to build on top of us because they know the value of it.
That's fantastic. So it seems like the buy and burn, or the burning of liquidity, might be the narrative on PulseChain this bull market. And those that figure out how to tie in the buy and burn with the burning of liquidity could be very successful. And it sounds like you've got a few community members building in a similar fashion on top of the pTGC contract.
Yeah. Let me answer this question from the...
I was just going to get to this. Yep. So
yeah, the reason why we're on
Hexhol,
V1.
Let me just read this out loud real quick. A lot of people don't watch these. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Hex Hodl says, is there a reason why the main liquidity pair is on V1? Wouldn't the V2 encourage more LP providers as it gives the rewards?
Yeah, so essentially to make the contract, or the contract work and operated, the first liquidity pool needed to be on V1. Second, the reason why we wanted it on V1, the biggest liquidity pool, was we are a part of PulseChain and we're a part of PulseX, and we understand there's a mission to burn as much PulseX as possible as well. So it's not really thinking about ourselves. Like, that's like another point to come across. Like, everybody who's working on this project has only been giving. And it's just like, at the end of the day, yes, we encourage people. So like, if you want to like provide liquidity for the V2 pair, that's your prerogative. But like, the focus point was to grow that pair as much as possible, which is the best answer for that.
Perfect. Great answer. Thank you for that. Let's have some fun. If I understand there's a game being launched, I like games. Let's talk about a game. Hayden, tell me a little bit about the game. I'm going to bring it up on the screen here.
Yeah. So obviously, with a token that needs volume to continuously add to the DAO and pay out rewards, I think it's important to continue to build smart contracts that actually assist in that process. So we're not only reliant on people buying and selling, or on arbitrage buying and selling. So I thought it would be a good idea to also build a fully decentralized smart contract that's a fun raffle game for people to play on PulseChain and possibly win a bunch of pTGC.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me about it. So I'm on the Graze Currency website right now, which I will put a link to in the video description at the end of this if people don't already know it. It can also be found on the Twitter page of TBGC. which is at Pulse TGC, right? Maybe I shouldn't have guessed at that on air. I'll put that in the links below too. So we're on the main.
I believe that is.
Okay, good. The main page does describe a lot what we've talked about: fully decentralized, fully autonomous, fully deflationary, set supply, burn liquidity, all of the things that we have discussed. Real quick, did y'all get any audits on this?
Yeah, so when we launched on Ethereum, we went back and forth for quite a long time with solid proof, and we got it fully audited on that side.
Okay.
And then when pretty much what we did was we took the smart contract and forked it over to PulseChain once we decided to bring this onto PulseChain.
Wow, guys, look at this. This is awesome. Super chat, $100 super chat. My goodness, this guy's had plenty of coffee this morning. Very generous. Thank you. Thank you, Shaka Vibes. I'd gladly purchase a few raffle tickets. If you can buy them live now, I'll demonstrate the process to everyone. pTGC is so damn awesome. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the generosity. I will baller alert. Yes, baller alert. That's fantastic. So let's do this. Let's buy some live right now. I don't have quite $100 worth of Pulse in my demonstration wallet, but I promise that this generosity will go towards pTGC, whether it's the game or, yeah, it's the game. That's what it was donated for, so that's what we'll do. So I'm going to connect my YouTube wallet here. So for all of you people that might get excited that you'll be able to dox me, you won't. It's just my YouTube wallet. So we're connected. Okay, so what do I do? Walk me through this. I'm on the main page. I go up here to game, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so the Grays game. So tell me about this. What are we looking at? How does it work?
Yeah, so pretty much you have PLS in your wallet and you can buy a ticket with 10,000 PLS. And per transaction, the max amount of tickets, because it's the max amount that can fit inside a block space and still push that transaction through, is 200 tickets per transaction.
Okay.
But what you're doing is you're pretty much picking your amount of tickets, 1 to 200, and you're doing that transaction. And when you do that transaction, what it's doing is the smart contract is taking your PLS and buying pTGC and putting it in a pot. And then every 3 days, the smart contract is going to automatically pick a ticket holder who's going to get automatically distributed half of that pot. The other half of that pot goes to a direct buy and burn of pTGC, or it's already bought, but then it gets burnt. So when you participate in the protocol, you're actually supporting the pTGC price with half of your raffle ticket purchase. And then other half, go ahead.
This sounds like your basic 50-50 raffle that you see at any sporting event or any fundraiser or anything you go to. It's just a 50-50 raffle. Half of it goes to burning pTGC. The other half goes to the lucky winner of the raffle. Is that correct?
100%. Yeah. And that raffle happens every 3 days, just on the blockchain. It's going to function no matter what. That's how I like to just build anything, is just fully decentralized and just running on the blockchain.
Fantastic. So when did this launch? I mean, I'm looking at this. It looks like there's no winners. So either it's a terrible game and nobody's ever won it, or it's brand new. What is it?
Yeah. So it came out yesterday.
Okay.
So there hasn't been a winner yet. The winner's coming up, and you can see that ticker. It's 1 day, 22 hours, and 55 minutes and 30 seconds. You see that there on your screen?
I do, yes.
Yeah. So that's going to be the first winner. And as of right now, I believe it's the pot's over $2,500.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it only costs, as of right now, like 50 cents to get a ticket. Okay. And the smart contract's just going to pick a random winner of that $2,500, or in a day and a half, it could be at $5,000. You know, it just depends on how many people keep getting tickets. But the goal is for that pot to grow as big as possible in those first 3 days. So we have a large winner of pTGC, and then that person can obviously decide to go ahead and stake it and earn more rewards, or they can cash it out if they want to. But the good thing about it is if they cash it out, they're just paying into the ecosystem with that 5% tax. So they're adding to the burn, they're adding to LP, they're paying rewarders, and that's just, that cause and effect reaction that happens every single time with every single transaction. So the game is meant to amplify that.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead while we're live here. I think I've got enough in my demo wallet to do one ticket. Let's go ahead and see. It's popping up my MetaMask wallet, which I don't think that you all can see right now. But I'll tell you that the gas to do this is 48 PLS, which is nothing. Now you can see my transaction is in progress, excuse me. And once this block confirms transaction completed, sweet. So now where do I see? Oh, right here's my ticket. How cool. So when this ends in 3 days, what am I going to see when I come back to check if I won? Will there be something here that says you're a winner, you're a loser? Maybe we don't have to call people losers, just you're unfortunate, whatever. What am I going to see next to my ticket?
Yeah, so how this was designed is, since everything's on the blockchain, there has to be a transaction that of the rewards. So when that 3-day timer ends, it will stop. And once the next game is started with a transaction, so the next game will start with the next ticket purchase. And when the person does that ticket purchase, it actually then picks the winner of the previous raffle and then automatically distributes those funds to the winner, the ticket winner. And that's like the brilliant thing about it being completely automated and decentralized. It does need a transaction to push that money, because anything that operates on the blockchain needs a gas fee.
Mm-hmm.
But it's operated via just anyone participating within the game itself. If you look at right above your screen, it says the most recent winners.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to show the previous 3 people who won. So if you need to look if you're the winner and you don't want to like dig into your wallet and see if you're the winner, looking at transactions, which is sometimes hard for people, to the blockchain, you could just check right there and see if you're the most recent winner.
So will it show the ticket number or will it show the winning address?
The winning address.
Okay. Then you can just look and compare notes of your address. Okay. So this is really easy. And I want to clarify what you said, that I don't need to come back here. In a lot of staking protocols, you got to come back and actually execute a transaction to withdraw your funds. What you're saying is if I win, those are going to be pushed to my wallet basically by the next person that buys a ticket.
Yes, correct.
Sweet. So I don't have to claim anything. So I can just buy a ticket a day and make that a morning coffee habit. And then if I win, I win. I don't have to always be checking the website. Do I have to claim anything? It just goes to my wallet.
Yes, 100%.
Very nice. Is there any, we described it as a 50-50 raffle, essentially 50% goes to, is it going to buying and burning pTGC, or is it going to the DAO to be voted on?
It's going to buying and burning pTGC. So when you purchase that ticket, it automatically gets switched over to pTGC, but because you're coming in with PLS, and when you do that purchase, it's actually getting switched to pTGC. But when it actually gets sent to the debt address and to the winner address is after those 3 days. So as of right now, it just accumulates in that pot. And if you scroll up on your screen, you can see how much is actually accumulated there so far.
Where am I seeing that?
It's 600 million pTGC. Yes, right there. And so that's how much is in that pot right now. And that's going to keep growing for the next day and a half. But then when that 3-day timer ends, half of that gets sent to the debt address and then half of that's going to be sent to the winner.
That's not an insignificant amount.
Yeah, it's over $2,500. So a lucky person with a 50-cent transaction like yourself has the chance to win half of that, which is fun. I think on PulseChain, it's important for people to remember that you don't have to just keep building tokens. There's plenty of awesome things that you can build with smart contracts that aren't actually token related. And that's one thing that we have, like with pTGC as an example. People don't realize this, but now we have 4 smart contracts that are actually running pTGC. The DAO is its own smart contract, the staking is its own smart contract, and the game is its own smart contract. And then there's a smart contract that's the token itself. So there's 4 smart contracts that are working all the time, integrated with itself when just running the pTGC token.
That's amazing. What is Coach? What is the supply of pTGC? Obviously, it's getting less every day, but what did it start at?
333 billion.
And where are we today?
We are 212.
Whoa! So
billion.
you've already almost a third has been eliminated.
All right, hold on.
No.
Take it away. Circulating, it would be 309 billion. My bad. Just looking at a different. That's the amount that is actually staked right now is 212 billion out of the 309 billion that's in circulation.
Okay, so how much has been burned to date? Do you know?
7%.
7%. Okay, is that a stat that's on the?
You can, if you go up to home. So if you scroll up, and then you scroll down. So that's right there. So if you see under circulating supply, that's what we're currently at. And it started at 333 billion.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And you can just always look at that and see how much it's ticking down every day.
Yep. So I'm just looking at the game itself, and 600 million has pTGC is been bought. Half of that's going to be burned. So I mean, it's possible that there's a $500 million burned a day with this game.
Yeah, it's not even only that game. That's what I was saying is you have the DAO also burning. You have, I believe, 5 other token contracts that are just running off of arbitrage bots also burning. You have the smart contract that's built into pTG itself also burning. So it's a metric that is just constantly running, and it's like having a company, and like you can just be one person, or you could have 10 employees working with you. How much work do you think you're going to get done with 10 employees compared to 1 employee?
Right. No, I love that analogy. CEO of Vibra Finances here says pTGC is going to the firmament. Lots of people are excited about this. And one of the things that I've noticed about pTGC is it's like it's, I don't want to say a silent killer, but for lack of better terms, like it's happening, it's growing slowly but surely. In crypto, a lot of people have this, I want to make 20x or 100x in the next 7 days. And so when they see something like pTGC, that's just kind of this slow machine, they're like, oh, whatever, that's garbage. I'm not going to get what I want out of it. It seems like what you all have built is something that a person, again, no financial advice is being given on this stream, but you could buy a decent bag of pTGC and forget about it for like a year and a half and come back and be pleasantly surprised. Like this is the 401k of blockchain, where it's not going to explode overnight, but it's just going to compound slowly but surely over a period of time.
Yeah, it actually has quite the ability to explode overnight, and I'd be pleasantly surprised if one day we wake up and it does. It's just still getting the recognition that it needs to on PulseChain, and how it's doing that is just by proving itself. So with every day, we're proving ourselves more and more that our machine that we created is actually working. because we're a first mover in the idea of leveraging these LP pools against each other and actually diminishing supply but increasing liquidity with every single one of those transactions. So I think right now a lot of people are kind of sitting back and seeing if that actually works, because it's yet to be proven. And I'd like to point out that we've already went through our first cycle of an all-time high and then a low, and now we're coming back up. We're 100% off the floor, and you can literally look at the data and see how well it's working. We've increased our LP pool by quite a bit. We've already burned 7% of the supply, which I believe is for $100,000 of pTGC that's been bought and burnt. So you can actually see in real time that metric working on a daily basis. And all this has been done within just 8 weeks of the protocol being launched. And since this has burnt liquidity, and I've designed this to run on PulseChain for the whole entire existence of PulseChain, it is just going to keep running at the same, actually at a higher amplitude as time goes on, no matter what, as PulseChain just runs. So through every bull market, through every bear market, for every up and every down, we're just going to continually add LP and take away supply, which just makes it a safer and safer bet for new people coming in, that they can honestly say that there is a machine running in the background that's supporting my bags. And that's really important in crypto, because not a lot of people build stuff that do that.
Right.
And that was one thing I really wanted to build into this protocol, is something that actually had a mechanic built into it to help support the project, instead of just, we need new buyers, we need new buyers. Well, I was like, well, how can I build something that has a supporting metric built into it that actually doesn't only need new buyers? Like, what can I build that actually supports itself just off of operating on the blockchain itself? And that's what I've designed within pTGC.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I can see it now. It's interesting when I somewhat announced to Twitter and the people on my channel that I was going to get really engaged for the next 18 months and potentially be doing daily streams. Your protocol received the most suggestions for, hey, talk to the pTGC guys, talk to the pTGC guys. And I think it's a sleeper. I really do. And I had confidence in it before. I was actually fortunate to participate early on with this protocol, so it's been a fun ride. But your community is there. It doesn't. I don't want to say it's got like the super hype that some of the other communities do right now, but it's just growing, steady Eddie. And Mondo, whatever we call him, Mandalorian on Twitter. He's one of your biggest fans. He's always talking about pTGC. And one of the things that I've learned over the last 2.5 years is he's someone to pay attention to. He gets a lot of stuff right. So it's cool to see. It's not just everybody kind of spouting off about pTGC. It's the right people as of right now, and Vibra Finance being one of them as well. How are you all feeling about your community building? Coach, go ahead.
Well, I feel like you hit it smack down on the point. So like, if you come into our TG, it's not like these just like memes and like doing gifs and let's go. It's not that vibe. It's like a vibe where you come in, ask questions. Of course, I would want a little bit more like shilling and stuff like that. But I can do the most what I can showcase. And when we showcase different tweets, or we have really good engagement. Like, we've had some tweets having 120 likes and 50 retweets and 30 comments, and that was just from a tweet about talking about like a buy burn or adding some more LP to the V1. So the engagement aspect is great. Do I believe there are some quiet players that possibly are doing or are in the project, but it's kind of like not really talking about it? because I've if people don't know, like I like looking at people's wallets and I can understand what you're talking about and understand whose wallet is who. So like in the means of that, like it's just like it's growing every single day. Like
Yep.
we have a VC every single Sunday, and basically what I do is I go over the numbers. We go over different like updates, and then we open the mic up to the community members to bring different ideas. And like every single day or every single Sunday, it's grown. Like the first one, we only had like 8 people in the VC. The next week we had, or I think the most individual in the space was like about like 47. I think that was like the latest one. So it's just like, and we're starting to do more and more VCs during the week, and there's people like 10 to 21 people popping in, just listening and hanging out, conversating. Like that aspect is growing as well. But it's the people that are the people that win will be the best speculators.
Yeah. They see it. Like one of my quotes that I like to think about on a regular basis is wealth is what you don't see. So what people are doing in the background with a protocol like pTGC, where they're just buying some, staking some, and then going about their life, buying some, staking some, and going about their life. It's slow, it's methodic, it's not flashy, it's not, this is going to moon 10,000x, memes, all this type of stuff. It's just a machine, and they're trusting in the machine.
Yeah, 100%. And then
yeah.
Let me just add one more thing to the consensus of like community. So people get staking rewards, and I'm gonna give a strategy of what I've been doing, and I wanted to make sure that it was like working functionally. But I like talking about like a river flow, and what basically crypto is like flow. And your wallet or your keys are the keys to that river flow that you personally, when you click yes, trade, I want Pulse for pTGC, I want Pulse for Hex, I want Pulse for whatever. But it just what I started doing with my rewards. So instead of just doing compounding it just right back into my stake, or just selling it into Pulse, I'm actually giving life to the other ecosystems surrounding it. So for instance, Burn and Liquid, just by holding it, actually rewards the holders in Pulse. So it's just giving you passive Pulse. Depending upon, of course, the volume and that metric, but like when I claim my stake or claim my rewards from my stake, instead of selling it out of the ecosystem, I'm compounding half of my stake, and then the other half, which might be, I don't know, $5, as I usually don't do this like on a daily basis, but like a weekly basis. Maybe it's so $10 I'm compounding back into my stake, and then I'm $10 going into buying Burn or Liquid or 808. Like with Burn and Liquid, you're receiving Pulse on every single buy and sell as well. So basically what I've basically done is done a whole circle where I'm from the Pulse that I'm receiving from holding Burn and Liquid is just going to actually compound my stake and going into the pool. So it's just creating like a circle of volume. Because at the end of the day, it's like, what does pTGC want? We want volume, and where does that volume come from? Comes from bots, but also in a consensus of a community aspect. Because these 3 other tokens were airdropped to people. So, and basically we gave free money. And then if you actually look at the chart, it doesn't look like the most healthiest chart, but it has the same kind of downtrend that we had. But those individuals is like what's the Richard Hart likes to say? You sold your free money. Now you're just like you're, and it's just like, yes, there's different ideas when it come to that, but it was just like, I don't want to forget about my guys. Like, I'm gonna talk about them. You know, these are like, I look at them as like horses, and like, yeah, it could be like different teaching points too.
They're all running.
As well. Like,
Yep.
like at 808, like if you want to learn how to play a liquidity game, just find your favorite token that you want to collect more of and pair it with 808, and then you're helping the ecosystem. And then once you want to take your profits, you're taking your profits by not really selling down the chart. Of course, if you want to pull it and then sell it to the open market, you have that potential. But what's to say you paired it with V2 pulse pair, and if what's to say hypothetically 808 does a 10x, guess what? That liquidity pool that you just provided also goes up 10x. But when you remove it, it's coming in as pulse. It's not coming in and hindering the price of the 808 token.
Sure.
So different kind of strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. They just kind of feed each individual horse along the way, and they each are going to do different things for your bag and for the ecosystem. I appreciate you sharing that. You mentioned that the chart doesn't look great. You know, I would argue that it actually does look good. It looks strong. You can see there I drew the line across the bottom, the blue line, and it's typically the case when you get a large pump because of either some external forces, somebody tweeting about it, somebody talking about it, and or an airdrop, you know, the price goes up. But what I see happening here is that it slowly, not abruptly, pulled back, and it bounced absolutely perfect off of its previous all-time high and is now slowly starting to trend up. This is very predictable. I've been around long enough to know that this is actually a healthy looking chart if you think about it long term. So I'll put that out there. But Hayden, kind of to one of the things I mentioned earlier, we got this message in here from Alex. It says, where and how can I get some besides the game? He put in here, let me see. Alex says, I tried to buy some pTGC on PulseX 2 days ago, but it wasn't possible. So he had a little bit of trouble with the slippage. So for helping out the audience, I'm going to do a quick tutorial, and I'll have you guys, you know, watch me do this. If I screw something up, please tell me. I want to make it easier for everybody. So I'm going to direct this directly at Alex. Hopefully you're still listening. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab the contract code off of Dex Tools, and I'll just start from scratch. So I went to Dex Tools. I typed in nope, I did it wrong. pTGC. Fortunately, there's not 1,000 of these out there, so it brings it straight up. I click the first one because that's the biggest liquidity pair. Down here to the left, I see under where it says pool on PulseX, it shows the contract, pTGC contract. I'm going to click that, copying the contract address. Now I'm going to have to switch my website. We'll see if it allows me to do this. Going to PulseX. And let's see if it's allowing. Oh gosh, it's not going to allow me to do that, is it? Nope, it's not. And in fact, it's freaking out everything.
We're still seeing the Dex Tools.
Okay, I'm going to bring this down for a second, and then this is really wigging out. And unfortunately, PulseX isn't easy to find nowadays. You can't just go to the website.
Yeah, I've been going to GoRealDeFi.com. I believe that was made by a Hex community member as a PulseX front end.
Okay, I've actually been using the GoPulse.com also.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Which takes you to essentially the Tell me what you just said. I want to go real DeFi.
.com.
Launch the apps. Yeah, that's cool. Actually, I think this was, I know the guy that built this. He's a friend of mine. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank right now.
I think I got it.
RH Max.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll put that link in the description, gorealdefi.com. But that got us to the PulseX site. Now, can we see this here?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, perfect. So I've got my Pulse here. I don't have any in my wallet, but this is just a demonstration. I'm going to be swapping for pTGC. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to paste in that contract address that I copied from Dex Tools. And I'm going to hit import. It's going to give me a warning. Yes, I understand what I'm doing. And I'm going to hit import. So good. Now we see pTGC. But where the big challenge is if I just try to do this buy right here, it wouldn't let it go through much as you experienced because you have to set your slippage. There is a tax on this token of, what is it, 5%, 6%?
It's 5%. So
5%.
usually you have to set your slippage at 6% to push it through.
Perfect. So what you do is you go up into the upper right to the gears, and it says settings, and you can see slippage tolerance. It defaults to 0.5%. In order for this to go through, you have to type in your own slippage of 6%. So then I hit enter. That's been determined. I close this, and now I hit buy, and that transaction will go through. So again, you just go up to the gear, you type in your own slippage here, hit enter, close it out, and then that will allow you to buy the token moving forward. Once you've purchased your pTGC, probably a good idea to go back and set the default just by clicking on 0.5%. You don't necessarily always want to be running at a 6% slippage rate because you might get gobbled up by MEV bots if you did that on the daily. So that's how you do it. I hope that was easy enough for you. That website was gorealdefi.com. I will put a link into the video description below if you want to take a look at it and have access to it from there. So Alex, I hope that answered your question. Yeah, Shaka Vibe says Go Real DeFi was made by RH Max. Great site. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, I like how that one looked too. I like how he has the bridge there and everything. The one-stop shop.
Perfect. So we're wrapping it up here. Is there anything I missed, guys? I mean, we talked about a lot, hour and 20 minutes into it. We did hit my number, my goal. I wanted to get to 50 people today. We got up to 52 people today. We've had some great interaction with the chat. Appreciate everybody being here. I'll throw it out to you two gentlemen. Hayden, you go first. Is there anything else that I missed that you would like people to know about pTGC?
I'd say you pretty much hit everything on the head. The one thing I just want to remind everyone is we are literally only 8 weeks old on a blockchain that's only 6 months old. Yeah. So I love to think of, like with PulseChain, that maybe the tech isn't like this brand new tech, but I like to think of it as a 10-year reset on Ethereum and think of just how awesome that opportunity that RH gave us is he pretty much gave everyone in PulseChain a reset on Ethereum. And I feel so happy and excited to be able to build on PulseChain with it being brand new and at such pretty much at the lowest level you could even start building on PulseChain on. And from here, it's just up, and just everyone keep positive and know that we're just getting started. We're just getting adoption. We're coming into the bull run, and we're just, and we're building a huge LP pool with PulseChain, who's going to be a monster, in my opinion, going into this next bull run, because we all kind of know, just looking at the history of every blockchain, after 1 year of them being out, or 50 weeks, they tend to pump pretty hard. And that's pretty much timed perfectly with the Bitcoin halving, and on top of that, the bull run. So just pay attention to projects that are actually building and creating stuff that's trustless. And that's one thing I tried to implement into this project, is to build something completely trustless that's giving out real APR without inflation.
Yes. APR without inflation is huge. I think that's a point that I'm glad you brought up because it's missed. A lot of people associate APR with inflation. I mean, hex, you're getting paid in inflation. This isn't inflating. This is buying and removing from the market, and that's how it's being paid out. Big difference. Very big day. And look at this. We're up 40% today. We call that the kindness candle. Anytime people stream on my channel, we always get a bump. We call it the kindness candle. We won't mention what it's named in like an hour when it drops back down. That's somebody else's fault. It's never my fault. But I'm glad to see that we're getting a kindness candle today. That's fantastic. One more question came in. Chaka Vibes says, if we could cover how you can remove any time for 1%, the rewards are great on staking. So staking, and this brings up a question for me as well. So I know that there's also a transfer fee with pTGC. If you transfer from one wallet to another, there's a transfer fee built in there. Do you pay that fee when you transfer from your staking? So like when I go to claim my staking rewards and that pTGC goes from the staking pool to my wallet, is there a 5% fee on that also?
No, so that's just going to be the 1% fee. And what we did there was I wanted to give people the option in our protocol with staking to be completely liquid, but then also if they did want to lock their tokens, they can lock it for a certain amount of time. You're going to earn additional rewards by locking, but the main thing is that we're offering a completely liquid staking metric. The difference is just when you exit, you have to pay the 1% fee back to all the current stakers. So that's one big thing that separates us from a lot of the other protocols that are constantly locking you into long-term stakes and hurting you if you want to exit. We wanted to make it to where you remain completely liquid. It's your funds. We actually keep all the tokens in your wallet, even when you're staked. That's because we believe in self-custody, which is a huge Richard Hart thing. It's a huge thing that people need to understand in crypto. If it's not in your wallet, it's not your crypto. So that's why we leave all those tokens in your wallet, even when you're staked.
That is amazing, by the way. I actually thought I did something wrong when I staked my bag at first because I was like, oh, well, the tokens are still here. And I think I reached out to, it doesn't matter who I reached out to, but I reached out to somebody and say, did I screw this up? And they were like, no, this is how they've done it. It's true DeFi, your keys, your coins. So even though you're staked, you still have your pTGC in your wallet, which is a fantastic part about this protocol is that you never lose. You know, if the website gets hacked or something like this, I don't like to talk about that type of stuff, but it's still in my wallet, which is really neat. So the question I have is, what's the difference between staking and locking? Why would I do one versus the other?
Yeah, so you have to stake to lock. So you can't just lock without staking.
Oh, okay.
Is the first thing. And when you're locking, you're pretty much agreeing to a time that you're willing to wait for. The minimum's 90 days. But the cool thing about our locking platform is when you lock for those 90 days with other platforms, you actually get heavily penalized when you don't unlock after you fulfill your time. We created it to where once you fulfill your time, you can remain in the lock and continue to earn locking rewards for as long as you want.
Okay. What is the difference in reward between a standard stake and a locked stake?
So the only way you get rewards from locking is when people exit their locks early. So it's based on a completely different metric and it's paid out in a completely different metric.
Okay.
It's only paid out when people unlock their locks early. The nice thing is you're just in a smaller pool, so you tend to still get a decent amount of rewards, but it's coming from a completely different area of the protocol. And in my opinion, it was just an addition for people who do like to lock their tokens and or do like to lock a portion of their tokens for delayed gratification or anything along the lines. There has actually been some strategies that people have came up with that actually do certain lock or laddering techniques. One of them sequential locking, where they only lock 25% of their bag in 90-day increments at a time. So they're only risking 7% of their bag at a time. But then after 1 year, their whole entire bag will be locked. So they'll be making rewards on their whole entire bag, but they only risked 7% of their bag at a time. So there's a lot of cool strategies that have actually came up in the last couple months between our community members. So just kind of the same process with Hex, when that day that someone came up was like, hey, you need to ladder your stakes. Like, so we have our own laddering technique that our community has figured out
Oh, okay.
to maximize risk to reward. And that's, I think, a very important metric is, you know, you can take a little bit of risk, but you just have to make sure that reward is greater than that risk.
Of course. Perfect. Hex Hodl says, nice, seems pretty solid in my honest opinion. Out of all the other meme crap, this makes more sense to hodl and stake. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Just play the long-term game. DGen Daily answers a question I asked earlier about MEV blockers on PulseChain. Says pTGC has a MEV blocker on PulseChain. If people are listening and don't know what pTGC is, it is an aggregator. It is a decentralized exchange aggregator comparable to a Matcha or a 1inch on Ethereum. Thank you for sharing that information. Coach, anything else before we wrap it up here? I got to go to work.
Same.
Same. No, I think we covered everything. It was a great stream. We went into deep details about every single aspect of it. Hopefully, I don't confuse too many people going into my in-depth conversations about LPs and just all that kind of conversation. But
sure.
Appreciate you having us on the stream, and looking forward to upcoming streams and scheduling times and stuff like that. So
absolutely, it's a pleasure to have you guys here today. One last quick shout out to Shaka Vibes. Let's see, I'm going to bring this up. Baller. Thank you for the incredibly generous super chat. We were able to do a demonstration live for you all on how to play the game. I will be playing the game a little bit more today with this super chat. Thank you, Shaka Vibes, for your generosity and for being here today. Lots of great questions. We actually did hit 60 people in the chat live this morning with us. So there is some curiosity surrounding pTGC. I think you all have built a really neat protocol that could have some significant upside potential over the long term, and maybe short term if people want to play short-term games, but I don't. It gets exhausting. So I will certainly have both of you gentlemen back on as this ecosystem continues to grow. And for everybody else, appreciate you being here, and everybody have a wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you so much, CK, for having us.